Okay, next on our agenda, we have the welcome charge, which will be given to us by Bro David. And let's invite Bro David to give us our welcome charge this morning. God bless you.
Thank you, Bro Kosi. Yeah, so good morning, everyone. We're excited to have you in our midst today. And thank you, our coordinator, Dr. Ayola, for the opportunity. Awushika. So I just want to charge us, this unit is, this program was organized by the men's arm of the NCCF Fellowship of the Ohio University. And our aim is not just to build righteous living amongst ourselves. We also want to encourage ourselves towards excellence. And this is why something like this is happening today. So thinking about what I can share with you, I thought to talk quickly about the power of the right relationship. What does it mean to have the right relationship, have the right company, and be within the right peer group? I can almost tell you that in a way, your life is governed or can be, directed. The path of your life can be, ordered depending on the kind of friendship and relationship you keep. When Moses asks, the 12 leaders from Israel to go to Canaan, to spy and observe the land and to see, whether they are ready to take over that possession that the Lord has promised them. 10 came back, and said, we are like grasshopper before them. You see the power of the community you follow. They came with doubt in their mind. And of course, the remaining people in Israel, they all began to murmur because they believed in the message that this group of people have brought. But Caleb and Joshua were different. They stood their ground and they insisted that they can take possession of that land. And you would see, in the scripture, years later, that all of those 10, alongside with those who murmured, they all perished in the wilderness. And the remaining 2, Joshua and Caleb, actually entered into the promised land, and they were adults. Those were the only 2 adults recorded in the Bible above the age of 18-20 that got to that land. That takes me back to what your company, your society, the environment you find yourself can actually do to you. They can make or mar your destiny. The Bible says in Proverbs that the company of the fool shall perish, and those who walk with the wise will be what? Become wise. Do you plan to get to a destination in life? Then you have to choose the right company, the right friendship. If you're in the company of those who are ignorant, or in the company of those who are fearful, or in the company of those who tell you certain things are not possible, I think it's time for you to begin to evaluate the kind of friendship you keep, or the kind of companies that encourage you to sin or live in iniquity. Without saying too much, I'd just like to bring your mind, to take seriously the kind of company you keep, and perhaps I'm talking to someone today who would need this. I will stop there so that we can face the business of the day. And once again, thank you for coming to this program.
All right, thank you, Bro David, for the charge. And I would like to quickly announce that we have a couple of people who are requesting that the meeting should be, if the meeting can be recorded for probably future revisits and listening to it again. And if that is okay with everybody, I would go ahead and record the meeting.
It's being recorded.
Okay. All right, thank you. The next on our agenda, we are moving on to introduction of panelists, and the one to do that is Bro Ayola.
All right, thank you so much. Off to a good start. Still on time. I will introduce our panelists today, get into business real quick. there will be two people who have gone through this same process. And the reason why we're not bringing lawyers to speak to you is because we need people who have actually dipped their foot into this particular process and they've been able to be successful. They went through the process themselves. So they are coming with first-hand experience. And so it will be good to be able to hear from them, hear how they went through the process. They will be presenting, giving a formal presentation about the process. Then afterwards, the floor will be open to question and answer. So I have the privilege of inviting, you'll permit me to give them this title today because that is what they don't like us to introduce them that way because they are too humble. But we will have the privilege of inviting Dr. Adelaja Oriade. Is going to be a presenter today. And also our co-presenter as well will be Dr. Adelaja Oriade. Is also going to be giving us his own, and they'll be co-presenting this, having this presentation together. All right, so without wasting time, I turn it over to them.
So thank you, Doctor. So I don't think I'll take that title yet. I'll wait till who is ready to give it to me. But I'll be the only one speaking now. So it's like Bolaga is going to join later. He's a judge at the science fair, so he would be able to join later as we go on through the process. So I'm going to share my screen, and also if you see my screen, please let me know.
Yes, we can see your screen. Probably you can put it in. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you can see my screen. So let me introduce myself. I'm Adelaja Oriade. I think most of you know me if you're an international student at OU here. Then if you're not an international student, so I'm in a PhD program, OU Media Arts. I'm in my 4th year, about rounding up my and completing my program. So, and the reason why I'm saying this is that so you know that you can do this and achieve it while you're still on campus. And I'm in media. And oftentimes we hear the idea that all of these kind of processes are not, all of these processes are not very easy for people in humanities compared to STEM. And like it is always very short for people in STEM and all of those things. So, and that's why I'm using it to give you hope, especially if you are about graduating, you're on your OPT or you are still in your program, you're in your 2nd year or your 3rd year or something. So it's possible. So I'll just go into the presentation. I will not be talking much about the presentation. I think we can discuss more during the question session. So I'm going to be presenting now on EB-2 National Interest Waiver. It's a pathway to green card. And one thing that is very common is that there are like basically 3 pathways for us to get permanent residency, the green card in America. And usually people go from marriage, and oftentimes the marriage route is usually a planned thing and people get themselves into trouble. They are tied into these things unless they actually meet Americans or somebody who has a green card who is genuine, that they really love and all of that. So oftentimes, but most people always run into marriages to just escape the route. And in that end, they put themselves into like 7 years of problem within the country, having issues about going about it. And the second way is the employment, the way you get an employment and an employer to sponsor you and they file on your behalf and all of that. So, and this third way is the one that is not very common, that most people don't really pay attention to, and is the EB pathway. So EB is not just, it's called employment-based immigration. So EB is not just EB-2, there's EB-1, there's EB-2, and there's EB-3. So for EB-1, for someone who's graduated, who has worked, who is a professor, who already has publications, has citations, has all of those things, you can apply for the EB-1. It's basically about for extraordinary ability. You show that you are an outstanding professor, you're a researcher, or you work in a multinational executive position. So the one I'm going to be talking to you about is the EB-2, because we are international. Most of us are international students. This EB classification cannot just be done in the US, so it can also be done from outside the US. So some people, I've seen people file from outside the US and they just move with their family after getting it and all of that. And there's the EB-3 too, which is also employment-based, is for skilled workers, professional and unskilled workers. So the lines are really blurred between these EB categories. But I'll be speaking on EB-2, like I've said, because of the student. So what EB-2 means is that it's an employment-based type of immigration pathway. So you have to be a member of a profession or you have an advanced degree. So once you have a master's, you automatically have clicked one of the major prerequisites for applying for this. And most people don't really do it. It's not very common with us, but I know people from other countries like Iran, China, India, always take advantage of it.
Yeah, Tanya, yeah, you can have it.
So please mute your mics, please, so that we don't have this back interference. So most people don't pay attention to it, and that's the problem. So as of 2020, the approval rating ranged between 83% to 93%. So it's just to show you that if you file right, if you prepare your documents right, there's a very strong chance you're going to get it, and all of that. And you can either do it yourself or use the services of lawyers. So if you use the services of lawyers, they'll tell you that they can give you like a 99 or 98. So if you go on their website, you see 98% chance of getting it, 99% chance of getting it. But the difference is that the lawyers want more from you, want you to show so many things so because you're in the academia, they want you to show, the number of publications you have. They want you to show certain level of citations. They want you to show certain number of conferences, all of these things that we do in school and all of that. So those things count for lawyers and all of that. But so I'll go into the requirements for this EB-2 right now. So there are basically 3 requirements for the EB-2 NIW category. First, you have an advanced degree. So, and that advanced degree is not limited to the US. My advanced degree when I applied was from Nigeria. It was a master's from Nigeria. Then you show that you have exceptional ability. And I'll go into details of what they mean when they say exceptional ability. And then you meet 3 requirements for a national interest waiver. And I'll also talk about that. So I'm going to go one by one and tell you, because I don't want to waste time. I think the bulk of what we do here is in the discussion and the questions and all of that. So first, an advanced degree means you have a master's, a PhD, or just a degree above the bachelor's. That's what they mean by that. Or you can also have an equivalent. So if you have a bachelor's and you're presently on your master's and it's going to take you 2 years, and you just want to try this process out before you complete your master's and everything, you must show that you worked in that area for 5 years, and you must be able to show it up with, maybe if you are providing evidence to show that, you must be able to show like maybe some years of your pay slip, letters from your employer, things you did during that period for you to be for it to be accepted with your bachelor's. So it's either you have a master's, a PhD, a postgraduate degree, or you have a bachelor's with 5 years or more working experience that you can prove and you can show what you've done. So that's the first criteria. The second one is exceptional ability. And I called this from the USCI website. So exceptional ability means that you can show a degree of expertise that is beyond the average that we can see in America. So you see that when employers even file for people, when they try to file for people in America, one thing they have to show to USCIS is that this person we are filing for, we cannot get somebody in America, we cannot get a citizen that can do this job. So that's why we are filing for this person. So in that same line, transfer it to the NIW in the idea that you can show, it's not like there's no American that can do what you can do, but you can show that you're exceptional and that you are not just the regular person, regular everyday person. And all of this comes in when you write your petition. That is, if you are self-filing, like I said earlier, you can self-petition or you can use a lawyer. So for my case, I self-petitioned. And I know like 3 other people, I know like 2 other people even on this campus that have gotten that were in the process together and all of that. So the 3rd criteria, let me go back. This 3rd criteria, which says meets the requirements for a national interest waiver. So that's the 3rd criteria. So what you are saying, you are making a claim that you are needed and they should waive the immigration process that they will give every other person, that they should waive it from you. So the idea is, what are you offering? What are you offering to the United States for us to be able to waive these labor certifications and all of that for you? So one thing you're doing is you're showing that your proposed endeavor. So like, I will keep using myself as an example. So I was telling them that my research was very important to peace within America and all of that. So the thing is, what national importance do you bring? So in trying to prove that, when you are putting up your evidence, if you are doing a research in chemistry and you are studying something very peculiar and all of that, you can look for scholarly work that have shown that there's a need for that particular research that you are doing. And you can also prove how that research will benefit America after it's done and all of that. Then the second thing is, you are going to show that it is one thing to say that this is very good for America, so I need to do it. Then you have to show that you have the qualities to do it. As a researcher, that I am qualified to do it. I'm not just saying that it needs to be done. I'm saying that as a researcher, as a scientist, as somebody who's been in the field, I can do that thing and all of that. So in the 3rd thing, like the layers, the way they put it is that you are showing that, okay, it will be of benefit for the US government to waive all labor certification requirements that they will always place on other people for you and all of that. So those are the 3 things. So I'll just go to the application process. So I can list those things again so that you remember. First, you must have an advanced degree. Second, you must show that you have exceptional ability. Third, you must show the national interest of why they should waive that certification for you, the labor certifications for you. Then the application process. So there's a form that you fill online. It's not online. You can either do it online or you can do it in person. What I did was I downloaded all of it, prepared my package in person, and all of that. So there's Form I-140 online. It's titled Immigration Petition for Alien Worker. So that's the form you are going to fill for this process. Then you are going to have a cover letter. I forgot to put this here. So in your cover letter, that's where you make your case. You will make your case for why they should give it to you. So the cover letter is just going to be like, you're applying for something, like you're applying for a job and you have a cover letter. But the cover letter is not going to be just a cover letter that you write like for every basic job where you have like just 1 page or 2 pages. So your cover letter might run into 40 pages because as you might run into 40 pages, 30 pages, depending on what you put into it, because that is where you point to your evidence. That is where you refer to past things that have worked, that has happened in your field, and how you are coming in to be to contribute to that field. So you put all of the things in it. You have sessions within, like you're writing a research paper, you have sessions, you refer to materials, you refer to evidence, and you put all of these things. Then one thing that also makes you stand out is letters of recommendation. They require letters of recommendations. So basically, if you've gone to conferences, you know, all those panelists that were in your conference, people within your field where you did your internship, all of these people can write a letter of recommendation for you to show that your research is important. Not all of them have to show the same thing, So some can show that your research is important because they've heard you talk about your research. They are in the same department with you, so you can use your supervisor if you have one. You can use members of your committee. Then you can seek letters from outside the university. Usually they tell you that if you're applying as an international student, usually it is good to get letters from outside your university to let them have their letterhead, let them write the letters on their university letterhead. It's going to be an official letter. So they are going to talk about you. They are going to tell the government why it's important for them to waive this certification for you. So you can get from professors and you can also get from professionals. So if you work in a chemistry lab that is associated with a company and you are working with that research, then you want to get letters from those people. If you go on field work to places and you meet people, you want to get letters from them. If you do charity work that is related to you want to get letters from them. So our advice, if you can get 8, 9 letters, it is good from your university, from outside your university. For example, I work on issues of immigration and African immigrants in the US and African Americans. And I got letters from African immigrants African immigrants in US who I've spoken to about my research in the past and who can talk about the importance of my research. And I also got letters from African Americans who can also talk about the impact of my research. So, and that's how you go about it. So the letters of recommendation is very important. And as you write your cover letter, you make references to maybe quotes from those letters. So you write, my research is of national importance. If Professor so also corroborated this in his letter, in his recommended letter, when he said so, then you quote them, you put all of these things into it. Then evidence. And evidence is any documentation that sells you. So any documentation. So if you are a member of ASU and you get a certificate from ASU of recognition for your work, it sells you. So it might not be the major part of your application, but as you sell yourself, that you know, when you talk about yourself, you also talk about how you've been beneficial, you've been members of organizations in the US, and you put all those things to hide you. So everything that sells you, pictures from your conference, prizes you've won in school, even if it is a student paper award that you've gotten. In your undergraduate, were you the best student? Anything that sells you. So your initial evidence, the most important evidence you're submitting are going to be like your CV, your certificate. If you have if you're applying from outside the US, try and convert your certificates through WES verification so that it suits the American standard style or all of that. Then your certificate, your CV, all of those things are the major evidence and the letter of recommendations. Then other evidence that shows your exceptionality, your certificates that you've won, prizes you've won on campus, even if it is a small prize that you consider small, even if it was $10 you won, you can also show that you are very good, and that's why the university is sponsoring your education. So all of those funding you get, all of those year fundings that you get are also showing that, because nobody spends on somebody who is not productive. So if the university is willing to spend money on you year in, year out, you should be proud of it, and it should be part of everything you're putting together. So everything, if you've ever taught on campus, I think it should be one of the major things that you should put down, other than the fact that I am good, I can work in this place. I've also served American students. I've taught this particular course. If you have proof of when you were teaching it, how you were detailed the work, an email that assigned you that job, print it, use it as part of your evidence. So even if it's an email, like an email, I won a prize that was not recognized the normal way, like the official way that they were announced on social media or something. But there was an email that signified that I won the prize, a student paper prize. in my department. I printed the email and I did it. So, and I think one thing I also forgot is when you are getting letters of recommendation from professors, it's always advisable to get their CVs, because it shows the strength of the person who is recommending you. That if this very big professor can recommend you, it means something. So, but if it's like professionals from outside, once they put it on their letterhead and they show what office they work and all of that, that is enough. So the evidence is, and that's why I put the anything in cap, anything that sells you. Anything that sells you. Then one thing that I've spoken to somebody who applied for this. The person is graduated now at OU. He applied a while back. And one thing he told me about, that the reason why his own application was not granted, because they might automatically approve your application or request for further evidence. So if they request for further evidence, they are telling you that we are not very convinced about what you're saying. That means you have to bring more evidence to show to us that we need to give you this, we need to approve this NIW for you. So one thing that he told me about was organizing. How are you organizing your application? Like if you are pointing to an evidence, the officer who is working on it must be able to open a page and see that evidence there. Are you organizing? You know, the way you organize your research paper, or the way you organize your thesis and your table of contents, you do all of it neat like that. That is very important. That organization speaks to so much. So you have to be very organized in the way you arrange your things. When you point to references, if you say exhibits 4.2 is a letter from a Professor Smith, and the USCIS officer goes to where the exhibits are and gets to 4.2, and it's a letter from Professor Charles instead of Smith. You know, all of these things, it will irritate them and all of that. And basically, that's the application process. So again, let me give you things that you might serve as evidence: your CV, your academic records, letters documenting your impact in your field. So if you've ever done a review, you know, on campus here, they sent out this yearly student review that you review for students on campus for research review. Take the email and attach it as evidence. So anything is showing that you are impactful within that field. You are knowledgeable about the field, and that is why you can review things like that. So letters showing your importance, the importance of your research from professors and all of that. If you have a professional license, probably you are in education, you've gotten like a teaching license to teach American students in high school, and just add it. Sell yourself the best way you can sell yourself. Then evidence that you have commanded a salary at least. So from your stipends that you get from campus, all of these things, add all of it, because it shows that nobody pays that. I've been an instructor since the pandemic, the summer of 2020, and if you go to course offerings, my name is there. So I just searched the classes I've taught with course offering, printed it, and added it to it. So, and somebody pays me for it, and I get all of these things. So all your funding, if you've gotten fellowship outside of your regular funding, everything, add it. If you're a member of professional organizations, research organizations, like your department has research things and you're part of the organization, print your certificate of registration. If you don't have your certificate of registration, print your email, your website page that shows you as a member of that organization, print it and take it there and add it to it. Then your recognition of achievements, significant contributions within your industry, certificate from ASU that says you're a worthy member, all of these things, put it there. And the filing fee is $700. It's $700. And I think that is all. So if you are planning to do it on your own, there's this resource that is very good that is online. It was published by a Nigerian doctor who's gone through the process, who also filed. I think she later included her husband in the process. So It's titled From F1 Visa to Green Card, How to Petition for a Green Card under EB-2. It's a very good resource. I think she sells this for like $100. And there's like a sample cover letter there. If you just follow our process, then you're doing good. So that is also how we'll move to questions. Don't forget to join us this evening for our worship experience. So as I expect questions, Brother Kosi, what to you?
All right, thank you, Brother Adelaja, for this in-depth information, and it's quite scary to have that detailed information. And I think as the moderator for this session, I would like to ask one question before I go to other people. You spoke about 8 recommendations, and that is a lot. So in your quest or like reading through those materials, is there, like, if you don't get to have the 8 recommenders, is there a leeway out of it? You are muted.
So what I would say about recommendations, it doesn't have to be 8. The 8 is just for you to show that people are right about it. It might be 6. I don't think I had up to 8. I think the total recommendations I had was like 7. So I don't think I had up to 8. I just had 4 academic and like 3 non-academic. So I don't think I have up to 8. If you can get like 5 solid recommendations, like a professor that's been at that research for like 30 years, 25 years, yeah, it's very solid. So you just has to be solid recommenders. You don't just want to just go and get maybe an assistant professor who's just taught for like 3 years, compare it to like a professor who's taught in that field for like 25 years. So if you get from an assistant professor who has taught for 3 years, it should be adding to those ones who have taught for longer years. So it doesn't have to be 8. It just has to be solid. They just have to be solid recommendations.
Okay. These are 2 quick follow-up on the recommendation area. So is it Bala sends a message in the message box? It says, can one submit more than 8 recommendations?
Yes, you can submit more than 8 recommendations. It's on you.
And the other one is, can somebody get recommendation from like back home, since we are international students?
Yes, you can. If you have professors who can speak to your research abilities. So if you are making a claim that you're doing research and all of that, if you have professors who can speak to it, then I don't think it stops you. So you can get your recommendations from back home. But make sure you also get from here too, because the ones there are solid. So if somebody is applying from home, they can get their recommendations from home. But if you are here already, you've gotten your degree from here, I will expect you to at least have some relationship with some professors here.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go to the hands that have been raised. I saw Biola Akinyemi. Please, can you give us a question?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was a great presentation. That was very helpful. So my question is about like filing with your, maybe like with your spouse. I'm not sure. So if like my husband and I want to file, but he has to be in Nigeria for something, can I file even though like if he has a visa, can I file? Will that affect him coming in any way?
No. So I think I forgot to mention this. This is a pathway to green card. So it's not like if you are changing your status already. So because if this is approved, this is what you will now use to apply for a green card. So all you just need to do is that when you are applying, you are not applying with your partner. You are the one who is applying. You are the one who is the international student who is applying. The only thing is at the end of it, you put the details of your family members. So if you have a child, a son, you just put their name so that you can apply with them when you're applying for the green card, but you are the one who is applying. The only thing is that you've just added the details that I have a husband, I have a son or a daughter, and you've just added it to it.
Oh, so sorry, just to follow up to that, because I've just heard about it. I've not really gone into the application. So when you're applying, what if you wanted to apply together? Is that possible? Like, can you do that?
You can apply, you can't apply together. Only one person is applying. Unless your husband is applying separately and you are applying separately. It's a separate application. If you're applying for green card, you can apply together. But this is one person who is applying as an individual. You can't apply as a group for F1, F or NIW.
Okay, because like I've heard about concurrent applying for NIW and adjustment of status.
Yeah, it is possible to do it, but this is the tricky thing, especially for international students. If you apply, while you are still a student, if you apply for your I-140, which is the NIW, and your I-485, which is the green card, if you apply together, the implication is if you are given your I-485, which is your green card, kicks off almost immediately, they continue the application. So you don't need to start doing the process of that one separately. But if you are rejected, it shows that on your record, it's showing that you have tried to change your status. So when you graduate, you will not be able to apply for an OPT. So the best thing is just apply as an international student. Our advice, apply for NIW. Even if you are rejected, you can still get your OPT after. But if you have made attempts to change your status with applying for NIW and green card at the same time, if you are rejected, when you complete your degree, you will not be able to apply for an OPT because you've already used your chance while you were a student.
Okay. All right, thank you for the answers. Biola, were your questions answered to your satisfaction?
I think she says she has one more question.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I was muted. So because I am H1, like I'm on H1B, and I'm thinking of applying concurrently. And like, that's why I'm asking if I put my husband on it with his visa, because, you know, if you apply for a visa from home and you have any intention of immigrating, that can make them to deny your visa. So that's where my thought process is coming from. Like if I apply concurrently, since I'm on H1B, which is a dual intent visa, I wonder if that would affect his visa from Nigeria, for example. I wonder if you know anything about that.
I am not sure it will affect, because if you apply for NIW, you will be the one who is applying. Okay. The only thing is that you are just putting the details, because you are not yet changing your status. The only thing is you are just putting your details that I am a married woman on it. Okay. You get, so you are the one who is applying, you are not applying for him. But the thing is that as I'm applying, I have a husband, I have a child and things like that.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Let's go to Gerard Chuku, and we'll go to the message box before we come back to the hands that have been raised.
Hey, good morning, everyone. And Adelaja, thank you so much for putting this presentation together. My question is, how do you establish what is of national interest? Because I mean, there's a lot of fields, but then what recommendations can you give for people? I know it's easier for some people in the sciences, that are doing certain research in the lab or whatnot, but then people in social sciences and humanities, how are you able to, what kind of direction can you point them towards? I don't know if you understand my question.
You are muted.
Okay, you can hear me now. So it's a very tricky question, and I think it was one of my worries before I also applied that what is important. So one thing our advice is for someone who has not yet done their research and they are planning to stay after, start tailoring your research to things that you think will be very important to the US. So even if you're in the humanities, tailor your research to things you that you think will be beneficial to the US if you're planning to stay. It gives you like a grant to stand on. But if you've already done the research, you're done with it, your research was African-based, people get this. One thing that I know will be helpful is that if people who have never done a research in America and are back home in Africa somewhere, apply from home and get it, is the idea that you can also prove your importance. I can teach, I can contribute to this industry. There's a dearth of qualified people in this industry, and I bring in my expertise. People apply for EB visa as dancers, as musicians. So you must be able to find a way to tailor yourself to show your importance to America. So if a dancer can show that I'm important to America and can get it, a musician can show. So I think you must just find a way around your niche. Find that loophole that you feel, that you think you can fill, and all of that. That's how I answer it. Like for mine, what I used was my research as something of national importance. And other than my research, I also backed it up with the fact that I've taught American students. And when I graduate, I'm going to continue teaching American students because I'm going to look for a professorship job and all of that. So you need me within that field.
All right, thank you for the answer. Let's go to the message box. Someone says, can one apply for EB-2 when already on J1 visa?
I think J1 visa is also like a student visa. So I think you can apply for it if you can show your purpose.
Okay.
If you go to the USCIS website, you will see this information. Just type EB-2 National Interest Waiver USCIS. You will see the information about when you are filling the form. They always change their forms periodically. So you must go to that website to see that you are using the latest form. Because if you use the wrong form, if they've updated their form like December last year, and you use the form from January last year, they will return your application, everything in a bag, and return it to you just because you've used an outdated form. So you have to go to that site to find this thing. So they change prices, they change forms periodically and all of that. So you have to pay attention to all of those things. And for people who might, if you want to go through a lawyer, it's good. But I also have people here who have gone through the process who, for a small fee, are willing to serve as resources. So after the program, if anybody wants to link up, I'll link you up to them, give you their emails. I've spoken to them and they said for a small fee, they'll serve as resources to help you read, edit, tell you what to bring and all of that. Yeah, I will get the link and post it in the group now. So any more questions? I can hear you.
Yeah, my speaker was on mute.
Okay.
All right, we have another question from Madam Jennifer Ojiambo. She wanted to know what's the timing for filing for the EB. Yeah.
So there's no time you can't file. You can file. I think those are things I missed out. So the period of that they will approve for you ranges between, I saw somebody that got it in 5 weeks. So less than 2 months. I got it in about 3 to 4 months, about close to 4 months, if maybe 2 weeks from 4 months. And it can range to 6 months. But recently they gave the opportunity for people to pay $1,400 to make the process faster. So if you pay the process fast, if you pay to make the process faster, you get it in the response in less than 5 days.
Oh, okay.
5 days. So there's no time you cannot apply. There's no, you can apply anytime.
All right, thank you. I think we have a lot of questions, so we are going to be running fast through the question. The next one, it says, in the event where your application has been denied, what will be your next step or plan of action?
So if your application is denied and you're still a student, just continue your student life, get more evidence, and reapply. So it doesn't really affect you. Just try, put your evidence together. It doesn't really affect you as a student. So if it's denied, there's nothing about it. So after you finish your school, you can still get your OPT and still go through the normal process. The only problem is if you apply for it and the green card together, you've already shown your intent of changing your distance. So if they deny you, it will affect OPT in the future. So best bet is just do this application separately. It doesn't affect you in any way. So, and for people on OPT right now, you can also do it like you already have a job. That way you get letters from your professor. You also get letters from the place you are working at and distance. So before you complete your OPT, you might have gotten it and you will not need a company to file for you. So the thing is, it just takes away that stress of waiting for a company to file for you or trying to get married to an American to get your green card.
All right, let's go to those who have raised their hands. We have Victor Ekpe. I don't know if I pronounced your name right, so.
Yeah, thank you so much. You got it right. Thank you, Adelaja, for the presentation. I happen to be one of those that went through this process, and I use a lawyer because there were a lot of time constraint on my path, and I was already running out of options, so I didn't want to take a risk that I wasn't sure I could be able to do it effectively. That was why I had to pass through a lawyer, but they did a good job at the end of it. So one thing I wanted to say, like you said, everybody will need to determine whether you want to go through a lawyer or you want to do it by yourself, depending on the confidence you have, the amount of time you still have to, stay in the United States. I think I was already running out of my the time I was supposed to stay. So that was why I had to go through that part. Secondly, somebody was asking about using an H-1B. Again, a lot of those scenarios differ. That's why you will need to, even after this meeting, you need to speak to people personally to get your scenario discussed, because there are a lot of scenarios, as you're going into the application process. So someone that has an H-1B is already a declaration that you have the intention to immigrate. So you can actually do a concurrent filing if you want to, because you already declare your intention in H-1B that if everything goes well, you are intending to stay in the United States. So you can go ahead and do that. One thing I will advise, which was a very big error my lawyer did. If anybody wants to use somebody to file for you, you also have to be on top of the application. My family is still in Nigeria. I came in to do the master's, and when I was filing, I did concurrent filing for both the I-140 and the green card application. That was because I was already on my OPT and my STEM, so I wasn't like going to apply again. I was already on my STEM, so I had to do concurrent filing. But the mistake my lawyer did was that for my family that is in Nigeria, there is another form that was supposed to have been filed concurrently, and that is I-824 for dependents of whoever is applying, the applicant. So it was at the end of, getting my green card and things were not moving on that part that I went and did research, discovered that form was not added. So now I'm waiting again for maybe like another 10, 18, 13 months to get my family on board. So those are some of the details you have to be, you have to watch out for, especially for those that you are here and you're thinking in the process, your family will need to join you. Some of those things, some lawyers don't even have idea a lot about them. In fact, I was the one even pushing. When I saw those information, I was pushing, and they were still a little bit hesitant whether they need to file that form. Later, they told me that after my I-140 was approved, USCIS was supposed to send the I-140 to NVC and all of that for the consular process, but all of those were wrong. So even if someone is doing that for you, you still need to keep an eye on what process is going on and what is happening. The other thing I wanted to say for the J1, somebody asked about J1. It looks like J1 visa has its own complication, especially for doctors. That one has a mandatory 2 to 3 year service after completing your program. So it looks like that one is not very amenable to transitioning to EB-2 straight. If you want to do that, it's not very amenable. In fact, even if you want to marry in the US on a J1, the recommendation is that the law is that you still have to do the mandatory 2 to 3 year service in a less advantaged state or city before you can make those transitions. So you just have to know that as well if you're going on a J1. Yeah, that's just a few things I wanted to add. So summarily, you still need to have more conversation maybe after now, depending on your situation, so that the conversation could be narrowed down to your specific situation and what you need to do. But on the whole, the process is very authentic and you can do it and get your green card.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Victor, for those clarifications.
We have a question in the message box. It says, the person says they've heard that the letter that you are writing should be 200 pages upward. Obviously, the person joined late, so she needs clarification on that short.
So your letter shouldn't be 200 pages. You know, we do this research, we do all of these studies, and you see 200 pages of waste. So if you're writing 30 pages that is meaningful, it's better than 200 pages of waste. So, and who wants to sit down to read 200 pages? They are getting thousands, hundreds of these applications on a daily basis. So nobody's going to read the 200 applications. So make it short and concise. Don't write what is not needed. Write to your strengths, write to your evidence. And it doesn't have to be like 30 pages is enough. And the 30 pages is because you are even using, you are taking quotes from your recommendations letters and you are putting them there. You are taking quotes from the research that is showing that there's something lacking in that field, and that's where you step in. You are using those quotes, and that's why you have it as extended as that.
Okay, thank you. We have a lot of questions. I don't know whether we'll be able to answer all of them.
Let me quickly answer this one about, how about if someone has 4 publications on your research topic during your master's?
Yeah, 4.
But I've graduated and you are currently working. So my publication, the publication I also used for my application is not even related to the current research. And all of that. So, but it speaks to your strengths as a researcher. It speaks to your strengths, so you must use it. You must include, if there are citations on it, you must include citations. You must show everything that speaks to your strengths. Show that you can do this research, show that you can work in that field. You've worked as a researcher and you are going to be working in the industry and you are going to be good about it. So everything that speaks to it, even your undergraduate certificate speaks to your strengths. Your undergraduate winning, whatever you want really on undergraduate also speaks to it. So
someone wants to know whether they can apply if they have overstayed their visa.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think you should speak to a lawyer. I think you should speak to a lawyer, an immigration lawyer concerning that. I don't know how to answer that.
Okay, let's go to Maruf. Your hand has been up for a long time.
Sorry, before we go to Maruf, this is Pastor Yemi from New Covenant Church. I know we are running out of time. It's scheduled between 11 and 12. So for some of you that want to, jump off, please feel free to do that. But we will try to continue this conversation as long as we can, so that we'll be able to accommodate everybody's interests and questions. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful time. It's nice seeing you all.
Maru, can you
all
go
right.
ahead?
I think I will let my question slide, I will contact Mr. Oriade. Yeah, for further explanation, for the sake of time.
Okay.
Okay, Maruf has a question in the text box. It says, please, can you repeat the part where you mentioned the effects of changing status on OPT?
Yeah, the thing is, this NIW is not directly to change your visa status. So it's just to say that if you approve it, then I will now apply to change my visa status. So you've not shown any intent. So even if it is denied, you continue your normal program. It doesn't affect anything. But if you apply concurrently, that means you do your NIW application and you also do your green card application at the same time. If it is denied, because it's been denied, they cannot process your green card. That means you've already shown an intent to change your destiny. You will not be able to apply for OPT if you graduate.
Okay. The next question is, what if you decide not to teach again after you graduate? What happens, since what you said when filing was that you would continue teaching? So,
I know of one case, and the person graduated from plant something, and is in data right now. So it doesn't just get your approval, apply for your green card. It doesn't change it.
Okay. Some people wanted your the article to be uploaded, and the one that you spoke about. I'm sure probably
it's the USCIS page, and I've posted it in the group chat already. Then the name of the material I talked about, it's Dr. Let me just paste the name so you can check for her. Her material is really good. There's a sample letter there. And if you can buy the resource, you can use a sample letter to write yours. I also posted that in the chat. You can use a sample letter to write yours. And if you want one-on-one, I have students who have gone through the process who are willing to do it for a fee, but it's a small fee. Just wait after, and I'll link you up with them.
Okay, this person wants to know, this might not be a question directly to you. Kwame wants to know how much it will cost to use a lawyer. So if somebody has an idea, they can quickly give us that answer.
I think it costs between $5,000 to $6,000, but maybe Dr. Ayola, it's about $5,000 to $6,000, depending on it. I think Dr. Ayola should have more information about that. Is he here?
Yeah. Some lawyers charge about 6,000, 5,500 to within 4,500 to 6,000. One of them that I know that has been doing it, and they will give you a 99% percentage that your petition is going to be approved if they take it up. And they will also look at your stuff and tell you, okay, we are not taking your application. So this one also will tell you that if your application is not granted, we will refund your money. We refund a larger percentage of your money. So this one I'm not doing an advert for them anyway, but based on what my colleagues who are physicians or who are professors have actually gone through them and they've gotten theirs approved. They are if you go online, Chen Immigration, CHEN, they do a lot. I think they charge between 4,500 to 6,000. It's, I think, around that range. And you can pay on installments as well. They help you do the draft of your petition, but you are still going to be the one to do a lot of the work yourself anyway, because you will tell them what you are doing, the long paragraph that you write for them and everything. But they will use that to craft your petition, to also craft your recommendation letter. Then you can now give that recommendation letter to your recommenders to read through it. If they agree, then they sign. So it makes the work easy for your recommenders to be able to say, oh, this person has a recommendation letter already. Okay, I will read it. If I agree, then I sign easily. I sign off on it easily. So that's for Chen. Chen will look at your stuff. If you have a lot of research and if you have citation, even if you have a lot of research and you don't have citation, they won't take it, because they are putting themselves on the line by saying, we will refund you if you don't get this approved. So, but even if they don't take your case, that doesn't mean that you don't qualify. So they are only dealing with a very high standard. So that's for Chen. I also know of a law firm as well in California that they charge about $8,000, but they don't give a guarantee that they're going to refund you. So you want to weigh your options. So those ones, they also do like Chen as well, but their standard is lower. So there are different law firms that will tell you, oh, so you have to be very careful when selecting law firms. So that's the thing about. So they charge, those ones charge 8,000. Why Chen charge? I think Chen is still the least that they charge, but their standard is very high to be able to meet up to. Yeah.
So thank you. I think Mr. Bulaga is also here, so he can join to answer some of the questions. I think he's been able to join us now. So
okay. Thank you so much. I think we've gone through all the questions in the message box, and if there is any further question or somebody posted a question in the message box that was overlooked, please, you can quickly raise your hands or just unmute yourself and ask your question.
So I think if Bulaga, if you're here, can you please answer this question by Bankole? If you have a valid I-20, the expired visa, can it affect your application? Is visa also submitted as exhibit?
Thank you. I'm actually in transit, but I was about replying to Bankole. It doesn't affect your application. My visa is expired. My I-20 is still valid. I applied and I was approved. So it doesn't have anything to do with your application.
Hello, good day, everyone. I have a question. In your early introduction, you mentioned having a teaching certificate, like a K9 teaching certificate. Does it necessarily improve your chances, or does it have like any significant effect? Is this something that people should work to get, or it's just one of those things that if you happen to have, it's fine?
Yeah, so if you happen to have it, it's fine. It supports you. It shows that you have certifications. So it's not like you should work towards it because of NIW. You don't need to work towards it because of NIW. But if you happen to have it, it works fine.
This question is
and just to add to it, for those who are physicians here as well, I know our case is kind of on the different radar a little bit. There is a green card pathway for physicians that is not under the category of EB-2 for everybody generally. So somebody's mic is, there's noise in the background. Okay, I think it's fine now. So there is so for physicians, you have to do a waiver. I know of a friend who got married to an American during, even before residency. And the person, they are doing fine. It's a legal marriage. It's a true marriage. So, but yes, despite she's married to also a physician as well, despite she's married to an American, she still had, and they have applied for green card, she still had to do the J1 waiver. So that's for physician. Wherever the pathway you go, probably the EB-2, whether the physician, whatever it is, you still have to do the waiver. So, but the waiver, the good thing is that you can go to an underserved area in America to do your 2 years, your 2 years waiver. So that's applicable. So during that time, your green card application can also run concurrently. So that's for physician, even if you're not. Another thing again that the lawyer said in terms of for Chen, what they advise is that for physician, if you are not yet in residency for physician, for example, if you're applying from Nigeria or you are within the country and you are not practicing as a physician, it's better your application goes to Texas Center, the Texas Processing Center, not the Nebraska. The Nebraska, they process the EB-2 in Nebraska or Texas. So you can also send it to Nebraska anyway, but it's advisable it goes to the Texas part because they don't really look at your licensing requirements that you must, okay, you're proving that you're sending you're telling us that you are applying as an advanced degree based on being a physician, but you don't have a practicing license. So they don't really they don't really take a real hard focus on that, because they are processing you. Okay, you're using your MD degree, MBBS, but you still have a research to prove to us that is of vital national interest. But out of Nebraska, yes, they will look at you as a physician. They also look at you, your research level, but they may, because if your application is being sent to a USIS officer who is very, very thorough, and that's where these things kind of vary. We have to be prayerful about who your application goes to. If the person is having a bad day, you never know. So if it goes to an officer who is very, very thorough, yes, you qualify as an advanced degree, having MBBS or MD degree. Yes, you qualify as being a physician. Yes, you qualify as proving your research, but you don't have a practicing license, because they want to know that, yes, if we grant you this waiver, you should be able to continue your position to excel in this national endeavor down the line, years down the line. So they want to be able to tell, can this person practice? Can this person be able to work in that line as a physician? So that's the kind of a little thin line. But that doesn't mean, this is a disclaimer now, that doesn't mean that if you send your stuff to Nebraska, that you won't get approved. You may get approved. But they always say, oh, it's better to send it to Texas. And this processing, I think sometimes it depends on your location, where you say you want to work. That would depend on where your stuff will be sent to. That's just a little thing I want to add for physicians generally.
Yeah, also on the physicians, somebody is asking, please, if a J1 doctor serves in an underserved area for 2 or 3 years, is the green card automatic afterwards?
No, green card is not automatic. You have to apply. It's either your workplace sponsors you or you do this EB-2 stuff. And there's also an EB pathway for physician that is not on that NIW. I think you have to be working in a veteran hospital. But if you go online to the USCIS website, you will see that category specifically for physician. So you can go through that pathway, or you can go through this EB-2 national interest waiver based on your research work to be able to prove to them. Or your workplace files for you.
Let's go to Chuba. Hands up.
I saw Chuba.
Okay. Oh, hey, everyone. I just wanted to answer on that J1 pathway.
Okay.
A few things on the J1. If you're married to a citizen or you have a child, you actually still have an option of going through the hardship waiver. The hardship waiver, you can prove that your spouse is a US citizen or you have a child, and then if going through that waiver, going to look for a waiver job is going to put too much pressure on your spouse or your child, and it can actually be approved. It's not 100% that you have a chance. So just so you know, if you have that option of that you're married to a citizen or you have a child already, you can file for that hardship waiver. I want to also clarify on the served area, just so people are not too scared of what's underserved. You're not trying to go into one bush in Arizona. Underserved has not been, people have a misconception about it. Underserved can actually be in New York City. Actually, anywhere you actually can do waivers for people. Underserved just necessarily means that the hospital can prove that we do not have this person and we need this person, and we've checked with US citizens and we haven't found someone that can fit in. So don't have that as something that will deter you. I'm talking about when you do your waiver, do you get green card immediately? That's no. Just to let you know too that you have to be on top of your game with your if your employer is your sponsor, you have to be on top of the game with them. You have to follow, because what you can either do your EB-2 too. What the EB-2 helps you do is you now cut out that permanent certification pathway, that labor pathway, and then you can get your I-140 and just still continue your waiver job. And then after that, you can file your 485 yourself. So in that situation, you don't file your 485 because you will be denied because you haven't served your waiver. So just file your 140 go through, you cut out that permanent certification, that labor certification. And what also that helps you is that you can help your spouse get their work permit so they are able to work, which if you did not do it and you were waiting for them to get the labor certification for getting the I-140 and your spouse is on H4, they can't get an EAD to work. So that's what that helps you with. And then when you get the I-140, if you want to do it through your EB-2, when you finish your 3 years of waiver, you can apply for your 485 without waiting for your employer. So you, at that point, you're not at your mercy of your employer. Or even if you change your employer, the other employer can file the 485. If you're going through your employer too and you don't want to on yourself, go through the labor certification, then I-140. Just make sure you're on top of your game. Like at the time is necessary, please, can you start filing this 485 so that you can get that going? Because some employers are just laid back, they don't know what to do or something. So you have to be on top of your game in all those situations. And then lastly, just so you know that EB-2, you can't file EB-2 just because you're a physician. You also have to prove the point why you need to. So filing as a physician does not count it. That's just it. You have to say that, okay, maybe you have served. Sometimes I think if you served in an underserved area for 5 years, you can prove that point. You have you're doing some research work or some work in like your area where you think that is serving a need to the American people, then you can file for your 140.
Okay, thank you so much.
I think we have Jessica and Gerard.
Yeah, we have Gerard who raised his hand.
And Jessica.
My hand is raised too.
Okay, Manuel, go ahead. I think you're the one.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Adelaja, Dr. Kosi, and Dr. Ayola. Can you hear me?
Sending doctors out.
I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. I've forgotten I'm not in the doctor forum. It's strictly doctor forum. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, there, thank you. So now, I was just going to find out, Dr. Adelaja, Mr. Adelaja, I'm sorry, when you were talking about advanced degree, someone who has had residency, like in Nigeria, for instance, you have a degree that is after medical school, would that count? And I just want to quickly drop my question because of time. All right, then the second one is, now, one is trying to get into residency. You are ECFMG certified. Is this something one can include in your trying to prove yourself? Just wanted to know, will it count? Then thirdly, issue of visitor's visa. I was told if you apply for NIW, then you may not be able to get that because you are showing intention that you want to travel. So I'm now wondering, because we know that when somebody has a B1, B2, it's valid for 2 years, and maybe you still have one running, but now you're applying for NIW. For any reason, you need to renew. I just want to know all these things because, as you know, you hear all kinds from different people. But before one jump into this, you just need to know what you are heading for. Thank you very much.
I think Dr. Ayola to be able to do this.
So for the first question, if you are a physician, yes, based on your degree, if it's MBBS or MDCHB or MD, yes, you qualify for that prong of an advanced degree. But just like the last speaker said, who's also a physician, that name physician does not just automatically qualifies you like that. You have to prove something that you are doing, that this thing you are doing is of a national interest. Just like you said, that you have some research. Those research, wherever where you did the research, that research, is it applicable to the US population? Probably you are working on a particular condition, probably a cardiovascular research or a nephrology research that you think is of a national interest. Everybody all over the world, wherever you are, you can have hypertension or you can have diabetes. So if you have a specific area under cardiovascular research or probably nephrology research that you did a publication on, so you can present that to the USCIS and say, oh, see this work that I've been doing is of a national interest. American population suffer from this, but little has been done about it. I have the potential. The USCIS is not saying that you should have a immediate solution, but you have the expertise based on your research that you have a potential to be able to use that in national interest to help or to serve the population of the American system. So regardless of where you do your research, people from China, they did research and they are getting NIW, people from India. So your research, anywhere you publish, it must be in a good journal anyway, but you use that to, so being a physician, that name does not automatically qualifies you. Your degree qualifies you. But on top of that, there should be what you are doing that can serve a national interest to prove your case. Then on the last one, being on a B1, B2, if you are within the US and you have a B1, B2 and you want to apply, I would say, please do not do that. I don't know, but just based on my own personal this thing, I would say it's not, because B1, B2 is a visitor's visa. So it's different from a student visa or H1B. H1B is even better because H1B is a dual immigration intent, being a worker, so you can do NIW at any point. F1, yes, you can also do that probably when you are during the middle of your study and you have something to actually show because you've been in the US for a long time on F1. But B1, B2, staying in the US, I can't really tell if that is, I would say speak to a good lawyer to be able to, before you apply for that, before you say you want to apply, because it declares your real intent is that you want to come visit, but now you're applying for a green card or NIW, that may be a mix up. So I would say for B1, B2 in that case, speak to a lawyer to be able to guide you properly. But if you are in Nigeria or anywhere, and some people actually apply from the UK on NIW and they've never been to US at all before. They don't even have any visa. I tell my friends that a good 60% of university professors in Nigeria actually qualify for NIW. Why? Because they do tons of research. But these people don't have that information. A lot of them actually qualify for this because they do a lot of research that is of national interest. So sometimes finances may be one of the issues, but they have a lot of expertise that they can bring in as well. So people have never crossed the border. They've never been anywhere. If I apply for NIW from different parts of the world and they've gotten it. So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ayo.
So we'll be taking Gerard.
Gerard and
Jessica. I don't know.
Gerard, can you go ahead?
Oh, okay. I was trying to unmute myself. It wasn't working. Yeah. So I was just going to add that I've been made to understand that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I've been made to understand that some of these law firms, the lawyers and all that, they usually give out templates to people, and some are more experienced with different categories. For instance, you might walk up to a lawyer that's more experienced with working with engineers and people from engineering backgrounds, and you from a chemistry background, they might not have an incline to how to assist you. That's just to say that you need to still be well informed. Sometimes they might not know, just as someone has already said, you might still need to follow up and not just leave everything in their hands and blow $4,000 or $5,000-$6,000 for stuff, and at the end of the day they don't give you what you want. So that's what I wanted to add.
Okay. Someone wanted to ask, if you are not doing a research, can you also apply for the EB?
Yes, I think if you're not doing a research, you can also apply. If you have other things to show that you can do, you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be research based. You can also, like for the doctors, it's practice based mostly. So it doesn't, you don't have to be research. Just show that you're important to the US. Then someone said, I'm in the US for my PhD. Please, do I need to do West evaluation for my bachelor's and master's transcript? I didn't do West evaluation for any of mine, my bachelor's and my master's. The only thing I did to contribute to it was to do like a transcript, a current transcript from the US that shows the level you've gotten to in your PhD, what your grades are right now, and add it to it. So I don't think you need to do like a West verification.
And as an addition to the person that asked that must I do research to qualify? No. Of course, USCIS attend to the case on case-by-case basis. but with the ones I've seen, the ones I've studied, people apply based on entrepreneurship, even for EB-2 and IW. People apply based on teaching, their teaching duty, you know, and that's what we tell people who are more into education line. We tell them it's better you argue from the perspective of I'm going to teach and impact students than more of from research, since you don't really have research. So people attack it from even sports, athletes, because it's in different categories. The same EB-2 NIW can be advanced degree. It can be people with exceptional ability also. So you can attack it from those.
Okay, thank you so much. It seems we have exhausted all the questions.
I have one. Sorry.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Take this question. I've handed over to you, Mr. Bulaga. So go ahead with the question, please.
All right, thank you. This is a wonderful presentation. My questions are, is it possible to have like a collective, like a group of people coming together to do some of this research? That does it have to be specifically on your field? The second question is, what about someone who is trying to move into something else? For instance, I'll take myself. I did a bulk of my job as a journalist in Nigeria. I came here for my master's and I'm rounding up my master's and I'm planning to move from journalism to nursing. So how can this help me? But there's also a connection with what I did as a journalist all through the different field or different area I worked on. There's also a great connection with the nursing area where I am trying to move into.
Mr. Bulaga.
Okay, that's quite a technical one. I have like two people who have that challenge now. And I personally will advise that you consult a lawyer on that, because I read about a case where they had to question that does the person have an advanced degree in the particular field he or she is trying to pursue now. So since you are changing your field, you probably might need to consult a lawyer to consider your peculiar situation.
Or apply with your current master's degree, which is not nursing. Okay. And make your case in that profession that you've already established yourself. Mm-hmm. Once you are done, if you are approved, you can continue with your life. But this application, if you are going to apply on the basis of advanced degree, I'll say just still use your master's. You already have experience from Nigeria, and all of those things count into it before you now progress later. Nobody is going to come and hold you after you've gotten your green card that you are now doing nursing.
Okay. That's a great one, actually. Then you don't really have to mention the nursing at
all.
Just
base yourself on the journalism, show your strengths there, show what you've done there, and just do it. And you can also relate to that, since your journalism is related to health. So you can also amplify that, because the health issues are peculiar and very strong. So
okay, but I also asked about
okay. Go ahead.
Multiple persons, like 3, 4, 5 persons coming together to pursue a certain research or something. Because somebody was trying to tell me about it, but he wasn't like sure. He was kind of telling me about 5 persons doing a particular research, as long as your name is in the research or something like that. So I don't know if you have an idea or you can throw more light on that.
All right, Ma. You are trying to build a story, because we are trying to convince the adjudicating officer, and they are judging you not based on external information, but solely based on the information you supply. So if that research can fit perfectly into the story you are trying to create, good. But if it cannot fit perfectly, then that might be an issue. We always encourage people to stick to a line of story. Like, you don't need to have a storyline going into 5, 6 different research. Just stick to a line of story and try to convince them And then every other research that you are putting in must still point to that line of story. So if that research that you want to join, if it's fit into your story, it's good.
Okay. Okay, thank you for clearing that, because somebody was talking about that it's not a must, because I've done different research, but the person who first talked to me about the EB-2 was saying it in the context that it doesn't really have to be all your work. Yeah. Maybe you can kind of.
Can I chip in?
Another person. Okay.
So if you are part of a research, if you are making a claim that I work in this field, and you are part of a research that has worked in that field, it counts for you because your name is there. You also took in that research. It counts for you. And if it is not in the line of what you've done, you just add it as supporting document of your expert and not tie it to your story directly. So I can do this after you've done all of those ones, related it to all the evidence you have. So when you now have a section for selling yourself more, you can now include that I've also done research in this field, so I'm very diverse. I can go into other areas and all of that. It will just be an addition if it doesn't tie to your central story.
Thank you.
I think we are going to take our last two questions. If you have any other questions, I think we would ask Dr. Adelaja, our brother Adelaja, and Bolaga to send post their emails so that people can at least contact them directly. So we'll go to Babati, and after that we'll move to Sam, and then we'll try to wrap up this meeting.
Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify what Jessica just said. In a case, because I've had a couple of friends who the husband is in STEM and the wife is pursuing nursing, and the husband is at the verge of doing everything. But when they find out that the wife has more opportunity in nursing area, the guy didn't do it. So they go throughout the nursing. So I will advise Jessica, if you have gone far in your nursing career, you don't need to do EB-2. And even for nursing career, it's a sure banker that you have it straight. It's easier that line than even EB-2. So I will advise you for that. So that's just my addition.
Okay, let's go to Sam.
Thank you, Baba.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so my question actually asked earlier, and you answered it. Someone said I should get a lawyer. So I actually overstayed my visa, but I do have an extensive experience in the medical field as a professor for almost 10 years after I graduated as an MD. You know, I've taught in several medical schools in the Caribbean, and I do have a few publications as well, even taking my exam, and I should be ECFMD certified this year. That means I've taken all the requirements of the boards. So I was saying that, is there any pathway for me, considering the fact that I did overstay my visa? Is it possible? Do you think there's any story here?
So based on your professional pathways, yes, you should be able to, you have a chance based on your advanced degree, your teaching experience, and also if you have few publications as well, that stands you a chance. But the only gray side is the overstay. Immigration is always very, very kind of iffy when it comes to overstay. So I would say for the comma you have now will be just the overstay. So I would say it's better to kind of speak to a lawyer and not apply on your own, except you probably meet 2 or 3 people who have gone through who have the same condition as yours, and they went through it probably through a lawyer and got approved. So they may be able to give you first-hand information about how they are able to maneuver their circumstance. So based on your history of work history, degree history, your research history, yes, you should be able to prove a case. But the common now will be the overstay. That's just what I can think about based on just my own perception.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and something to encourage you. There are tons of stories about people who overstayed visa and gotten their immigration. So there's nothing to be worried about with all of your experience. Just go through the lawyers and tell them your condition. They'll factor it into the processing for you. So don't try to self-petition since that there's that comma on that thing. So the lawyers will tell you your chance. So that's the best thing. So don't be bothered about it. Just go to the lawyers and they'll let you know.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Bra Adelaja and Bolaga. We are so much grateful to have you talk to us about this process. And wrapping up, we will move on to announcement, and Pastor Tani will be giving us the announcements.
I'm not sure. I think he's busy, so I will probably kind of do that. So once again, we say thank you for joining us today. Okay, I think Bro Elijah has something to say. You are muted. You can go ahead.
You are muted. Bro Elijah, yeah.
So like I said earlier, I'm going to leave my work email, please, in the group chat. Please, you can send me an email, please. The heading so it doesn't go into like junk. Write constructive well so it doesn't go into junk. So I can link you up to people who can consult for you. I know Bolaga does it for people and it's been very effective. So then I can link you to someone else. Someone else spoke on this page who also consults, who has a wealth of experience with it. He's gotten his and helped others to get theirs. So just send me an email. I'll link you up to them. And for a small fee, they will assist you, help you read, tell you what evidence to get and all of that. Thank you.
Yes. I think we have two ends up. I don't know. Our moderator, what do you think?
I don't know. Well, let's quickly hear their questions, and then Bra Ayo can give us the announcement. Okay, Fire, please, can you go ahead with your question?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Adelaja was talking about, he answered the question earlier on, and he mentioned something health issues. So I wanted a clarification on that.
I don't know specific about health issues. I'm trying to remember everything I've said that has to do with health, but I don't remember. Is there like a question around it that you can ask so I would know?
Yes, I think the person was talking about the application process, and he or she, I can't really remember, but he or she mentioned how to apply, and you mentioned health issues. I think it was a physician that also asked the question.
Oh, I can't remember, but I don't think there's anything about health issues attached to this. You are not presenting anything on health in anything. I think the only time you do anything that has to do with health is when you are applying for your green card, where you have to see physician and all that. I don't think there's nothing about health issues.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I think since Bro Largest email is there, if you get to remember the question you wanted to ask, you can shoot him an email for a follow-up. Let's go to the next person whose hand is up. The name is iPhone, so I'm not sure who exactly.
Hello?
Yeah, we
Hello?
can.
Thank you for the opportunity. Please, I noticed that apart from the EB-2 visas, that there is also EB-1 and some other EB visas. Hello?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
There's EB-1 and there's EB-3.
Yes, please. Those other pathways like the EB-1, are they also usable just like the EB-2?
Yes. So for people that are already on their OPT or already working and like professors in a school and probably their university is not filing for them, you can use EB-1. It's just showing that you're an outstanding professor, researcher, or you work with a multinational. Those are the ones that can use EB-1. For EB-3, so they are really very connected. Like some people might qualify for EB-1 and EB-2. For EB-3, I think EB-3 even covers unskilled workers.
Yeah, unskilled, 2 years skill requirement, just 2 years skill requirement.
In my own case, I'm practicing in Jamaica. I'm a doctor and I practice in Jamaica, but I'm Nigerian. So I don't know, maybe the EB-1 is a better one for me.
Okay, Dr. Woshika, do you want to attend to that?
Yeah, so for the EB-1, I know a guy who we work together, who applied for an EB-1 and he got his approved, and that was probably during COVID. He got an EB-1 approved. There was no expedited EB-1. He got EB-1 approved within 6 days, 6 days after submission. He didn't pay for any expediting, but his EB-1, this guy is an Indian guy. He's been working for over 30 years. He has won several awards. So EB-1 is categorized under like probably a Nobel laureate or some but lawyers will tell you that no, you don't even need to think up to that extent. But I will tell you, put it in that class. EB-1 is almost kind of in that kind of class. People who are way, or probably you're Usain Bolt, who won something in sports, and you're well recognized. Yes, that's what I personally think about EB-1. But if you have something to prove as well, based on the resume, what you have done, that is so way exceptional, then you can also apply for, the sky is the limit. You can also apply for EB-1. But I will say EB-2 may be a better choice. EB-2, national interest, may be a better choice. If you qualify for EB-1 and you actually apply for EB-2, they won't deny you because you are way beyond EB-2. So most likely it's going to fall back and say, oh, this guy is way exceptional. We don't have anything not to grant his application. So EB-1, yeah, it's possible. Never say never in immigration, in the language of immigration. So that's just what I can say about EB-1.
Okay. Yeah, and additional to that, if you plan to apply for both EB-1 and EB-2, you don't submit the same application for both of them because they have different requirements, and so they are arranged in different ways. So you have to make the application separately. Just as Dr. Woshika has said, EB-1 is for outstanding people with patents and Nobel laureate level, or professors which universities are filing for.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I'm grateful.
All right, thank you for the responses. Let's go to Dr. Ayo. Can you give us the announcements?
All right, so thank you very much, everybody, once again. It's just a note of appreciation to everybody who was able to participate and join us today for this seminar. And to let you know that, yes, this is hosted by the men's group. We discuss a lot of things about not just spiritual things alone. We discuss financial things. How do you buy a house in the US? What are those hooks and things you need to go through? Financial strategies, academic and career pathways, we discuss that as well. Health, careers, and seminars, we discuss within ourselves. So not just a spiritual thing alone. So feel free to join us. We meet every last Saturday of the month. This is an unusual day anyway, because of the timing. We meet from 11 a.m. in the morning, that's Eastern time, 11 to 12. 1 hour is normally 45 minutes. Within 11 a.m. Eastern time to 11:45, we're done. So feel free to join us. This same Zoom link is what we use to meet at those point in times. So we always have interesting topics that we cover and we discuss. And also, feel free to also join us as well anytime that you have the opportunity. For those, currently I'm not in Ohio presently, but I still join our online services, NCC. On Sundays from 11, this same Zoom link is what we use from 11 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time to 12:30 we meet. And also there's going to be a special, I don't know if we can pull up the flyer again. We have a special praise service going on today. It's going to be hosted in Ohio University. For those who are online, if you're in Ohio, please kindly join us as well. For those who are not in Ohio, just like I told you, I'm not in Ohio presently, but I still going to join. So for those who are online, you can also join as well. It's going to happen by 6 p.m. Eastern time today, 6 p.m. It's going to be a wonderful time. So you can join. Those who are online, fine. And those who are in person in Ohio, please kindly make sure you join us at inside Ohio campus. It's going to be happening in Porter Hall. Is it Porter Hall? Morton Hall 237. Morton Hall 237. And I think that should be it for today. I probably invite Pastor Emi to give us a closing prayer. Or bro, if Pastor Emi is not available, then probably Bro Kosi can give us a closing prayer.
Do we have Pastor Emi?
I believe they're preparing for this evening.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's have our prayer and wrap up the program. Father, we thank you for this time of gathering together and sharing information that will enlighten us for the path ahead of us. We thank you, Lord Jesus, for the speakers and those who put the program together. We thank you for the attendees. We are so much grateful, Lord Jesus, oh God, for the vast information that has come to us. We pray that let this information be of a good use for us. We pray that, Lord Jesus, as we are about to wrap up and also start our worship night, which is coming up, we pray that, Lord Jesus, your grace will be sufficient, that, Lord Jesus, we will be able to have a good time with you and have an enjoyable and interactive worship night. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.